That's quite the sight. Interesting. I actually really like this art style already. Well, hello. I am Lady Evil, and welcome to Dicentra. Am I saying it correctly? Dicentra? I'm gonna be completely transparent with you guys. The only reason I chose this game is because of the cover art. I saw it and I was like, yes, play it. I read a quick snippet about it. It's apparently about vampires and stuff. So yeah, let's just get right into it. This game contains content and themes on death, loss, grief, violence, animal death, imprisonment, flashing imagery, jump scares, intoxication, horrific imagery, descriptions, mental illness, sad, not involving main characters, and loud sounds that players may find uncomfortable and or disturbing. Player discretion is advised. Please play responsibly and do take care of yourself, which means if you cannot watch this video, I will see you guys next time. Otherwise, do enjoy. Ooh. My breath comes out in puffy clouds as I limp through the rain. It blurs my vision, forcing me to feel my way through the forest with the wind crushing against me from all sides. Speaking of wind, if you guys hear anything like weird in the background, we're having high winds right now. Legitimately have a warning for it, so yay. I've never been much for prayer, but would it be too late to start now? I feel like digging my claws into anything that might make me feel less alone right now. Then again, what god would hear someone like me out? I fumble over tangles of roots and slip over wet moss. My bones instantly shudder from the cold shock that shoots up my arms as my nails grab onto a nearby rock. The cuts all over my body start to sting again. Pathetic whine escapes my throat. My grandmother would have a riot if she could see me now. I can hear her snide remark already. See what happens when you don't listen to me? I see faces. Not the character. I see faces in the woods. I don't know if you guys can. It's like, I like this. I like this art style. The mushrooms. Sorry, back into this. As if I wouldn't survive long enough to hear the real deal. I sniffle in frustration and try to shake the feeling away with the rain dripping down my face. She's always right, of course. For a moment, I thought I had finally gotten what I wanted so badly, earned all on my own in spite of how it was always placed out of my reach. It was almost worth the consequences that came after. Oh. Lost in thought, I lose control of my limbs. I'm not used to controlling them all at once, and it's enough to throw me back into the slicker. Are we a different creature? Hello? My eyes begin to burn. The ice of the rain and the pain that drags along my body suddenly overwhelm me. The storm above is harsh, and the thick canopy of trees above me does little to shield me from its rage. Instead, the trees passively turn their leaves away, as if I had the guts, I'd throw my grandmother's most colorful of curses at them. But I don't. I force myself to take a deep breath. Shakily lift myself from the ground, trying hard to ignore the bite of pain that comes from my arm. For in the middle of the summer, it pours hard. The rain comes down like shards of ice, like it falls with the intent to harm. In the puddle in front of me, I watch it disturb the reflection with ripples. In the brief moments where the reflection almost settles, I see piercing yellow eyes, dark fur, and wilted ears. Oh! Sleek and clinging to the small, vulnerable form of a wolf pup. It's so cute! The voice of my grandmother hisses in my mind. What have you done, Basil? I need to get back home. I tear away from the puddle and trek on. Please, something, lead me back home. Something, anything. After making my wish, I wonder if it's a wise thing to ask this forest for a favor. Maybe my weariness is starting to play tricks on my mind. Because I swear, something answers. It's so faint that I question if it's even real. A howl cuts through the wind, or perhaps it's the wind that shrinks away from the sound that ambles through. Oh. Fighting my way through the storm has left my body exhausted. My mind might be neglecting its responsibility to remember what reason is. Oh, my instincts scream to ignore it, but my heart, a stupidly curious thing, makes me take a step forward. My fuzzy ears pick up the heavy sound of my heart pounding. Bleh. I try to convince myself it's because of fear. I need to focus on where the howling's coming from. Oh, are we in it? Oh, as I get close to the sound, it begins to resemble crying. The storm also seems to start mysteriously retracting its claws. Is the forest showing mercy, or has it submitted to something far more formidable? I've lived in the woods my whole life. I should know better than anyone to never get too comfortable. A red light perforates the dark atmosphere. Oh! I swallow harshly. There's a mansion in the middle of the woods. Oh. From a distance, it would look abandoned, if not for the hazy red light coming from the rooftops. Oh, right there. That. It's like a top garden or something. I squint. Is that a greenhouse? Oh, yeah, that's what that is. Top garden. My brain's not fully operational right now, okay? A shadowy figure moves quickly behind its clear walls, startling me. I didn't see anything. I was focusing on the text. I duck into the tall and neglected grass that grows in the mansion's yard. After a short while, I peek through the blades. The shadow all but gone. Did I imagine it? I'm gonna say yes. I release a nervous sigh and observe the ground showing signs of life or death. It was a bad idea to come here. A terrible one, even. I can't stay here, and yet we are. I retreat back into the shadows of the forest, keeping the mansion in my line of sight. The moment I feel bold enough to turn my back against it, a powerful gale slams into me. I tumble back hard, skidding across the ground and into the tall grass with a cry. It takes me a moment to recover from my swirling, but the universe is saying you must investigate that mansion. You've committed to, like, stepping over here. Commit to the bit. My wounds scream at me, and I wonder how much further I can go into this state. I grit my teeth and get back on my feet, keeping my weight off my arm as I make for the forest again. Again, I am denied entrance by a mysterious force. Oh, I wonder why. Curiosities. I would also like to point out, I love how all the trees and stuff are kind of swirling around. Is that a moon? A moon. The moon. The moon. Panic starts to seep through my bones. Hopelessness might actually be a more welcomed feeling than the tightness that now constricts around my heart. I stare at the trees as though they suddenly start playing nice, but beings as ancient as them do not bend to anyone's will but their own. The wind gives one more shove. It insists I move forward. I bare my adolescent fangs. Oh, look at him! Just like, fear me. My adolescent fangs at it to disguise the hurt. I know now that my choices were nothing but illusions. I face the mansion once again. It's clear that something or someone from inside is inviting me in. Oh, gods. With no other choice, I creep along the worn brick walls in the mansion and try to find a way in. Oh. I go to a window. I spy a broken window and see a gauzy white curtain thrashing against the glass from the intruding room. Oh, shoot. From the intruding storm. Sadly, it's far too high for me to climb, and there's no way I can jump in this state. No! I jump at the nearby clap of thunder. Oh no! My eyes blink through the rain, and I squint with the searing white light of the lightning above. The lightning above reflects on something that sits at the windowsill. I take a step back and see a simple white vase that holds a gathering of withered roses. Perhaps I can take this as proof that the mansion can safely serve as an empty shelter for the night. No, because somebody had to put those there. Like, if they're not taken care of properly, they wither quickly. You know. Speaking from experience. I turn and look for somewhere else to enter. Cellar door? I find an entrance to a cellar. The wood of the doors look rotten, but it doesn't give when I place 2 paws on it and push my weight into it. My ears flip back in disappointment. Though I'm also relieved I didn't go tumbling through the old wood into some unknown depth. Heavy iron handles sit unchained. All I need to do is find a way to open them. I try to squeeze my snout through one of the handles. As I bring my face closer to the moldy wood, a faint sound comes from below. I immediately freeze. Icy rain weighs down my fur and intensifies the chill that drapes over me like a thick cloak. I swallow, then lean forward to press one of my droopy ears against the door. I listen closely, and serpentine hisses come from the other side of the wood. My breathing stills. My ear remains glued to the door. I try to find sense in the sounds I hear, then, oh! Something slams against the wood, where my ear is pressed against it, and I fling back in shock. Okay, the fur against my neck is completely ruffled, and my tail curls between my legs in fright. I stare at the cellar doors with owlish eyes, half expecting a beast to burst out and eat me, but nothing happens. We're leaving that alone forever in a day. Still, my racing heart does not calm as I trek through the muddy grass in search of some other entrance. Go somewhere else, then. Jeez. A faint knocking grabs my attention. I pad to the back of the mansion, and my saving grace comes in the form of a door left slightly ajar. Ah. Aha! I nudge my nose into the tight gap, and relief washes over me when it parts. Ah. Oh. No. I immediately walk back out and say, fuck it, this place is not worth it. An ear-piercing screech echoes through the mansion as the doors hinge into me. That needs some DW-40 or something. Good lords, this place is in disrepair. From the looks of it, they haven't moved for a long time. The feeling of ice floods my veins. I stay frozen in the doorway. The mansion is occupied. There's no way I didn't just announce my entrance. Yeah, to everyone in here and the entire fucking country. Fear takes over again. My back paw intuitively steps back so I can attempt to run as far from this place as I can. The sound of thunder explodes behind me. I feel my body take on a life of its own as I throw myself into the mansion against my will. The door slams on my way in. Fuck, we're stuck here. I breathe shallowly. When I come to my senses, I am in a kitchen. It's dark inside the house. The only source of light comes from the windows above the counters. Everything beyond its reach is a void. I see a kitchen table and crawl towards it, scratching my nails along the musty wood flooring in a rush to get beneath it. I stay under the table as my breathing starts to return to normal pace. My eyes are wide and my ears are perked up, on the lookout for anything that could be a threat. The only sounds I pick up are the heavy drums of rain from outside and the occasional creak of the mansion walls beneath the night air. Breathing in the night air, pardon. Ooh, this place is old. Look at that. Y'all need to change out your tables. The tablecloth is all ready. When I'm confident that there's no sign of life inside this manor, I crawl back into the open and immediately shake off as much rain and mud as I can. I let myself celebrate the minor luxury of finally escaping the maws of the weather, but I don't let my nerves calm down just yet. Oh, I didn't. Why does it keep doing... Am I hitting the wrong button or something? As soon as my eyes adjust better to the dark, I take the time to study my surroundings more. I notice a hearth that lacks any recent maintenance. Dishes crowd the countertops, and a thick layer of dust forces me to smother a sneeze. This place hasn't been occupied in a long, long time. Surely I can allow myself to breathe just a little bit easier in this space. Space! At least until the storm wanes. I bring in a deep inhale, being careful not to get any dust up my sensitive nose, and tread cautiously. Ooh. As I sneak in further, I hold my breath at every corner, carefully looking in all directions for danger. The rest of the mansion is as devoid of life as the kitchen. Most of the rooms here have closed doors. The ones I could see in were graciously empty except for the derelict. Is that how you say that? Derelict? Yes, it is. I don't know why I'm questioning myself on that. Furnishings within. Barely anything is in decent shape. I couldn't guess how long it's been since a human lived in this manner, but based on the scratched hardwood floors and the broken but intact looking side table nestled in a dark corner, I have the impression that this place was neglected even while it was occupied. My nails tap on the floor as I limp into the hallway, my mind finally settling from all the adrenaline. The ache in my front leg starts to swell, and the heat of my body intensifies the pain. I try to admire the paintings lining the walls from end to end, but it's hard to see them in the dark. Though, through glimpses of light, I can make out some faded landscapes, a few mountains, some castles, and a couple of portraits. One portrait in particular catches my eye. I stop in front of it. I stare at the portrait, foolishly thinking that it's staring right back. The rising heat in my body must be making me see things. As I observe the side profile of a pale woman, I notice that she's eerily the most realistic painting I've seen so far. Uh-oh. When she turns her head to look down at my tiny form, every hair on my body goes stiff. Her lovely features, captured in oil, begin to melt off as she steps out from the bed. This is a fever dream. Oh. Smooth ivory skin shrivels to a deathly pallor. The elaborate gown clinging to her sharp shoulders begins to rot as her torso parts open like a blooming rose, revealing decaying bone and organs that run down her skirt like horrific decor. Oh. I immediately start running away as fast as I physically can. As I scramble to get away on my hurt leg, I hear something that might be worse than a ghost. Uh-oh. The woody and spicy scent of incense fills the humid air, creating a hazy purple fog. The sound of chains moving in a controlled rhythm rattles me to the marrow in my bones. Footsteps follow shortly after, growing louder alongside the clinking chain. We had to stop and look at the painting. You just had to look at it. You had to stare at it. It's coming from the staircase. My breath quickens. I slide to a halt and backtrack away from the sound. We're going right back into the spooky ghost bitch. I look behind me and see the glowing apparition of the woman's hunched form stumbling towards me, dragging a trail of gore with a wet squelch. Oh, hide. I need to hide. But where? My eyes dart across every inch of the hallway, desperately searching for a small sanctuary. The footsteps are right behind me. The ghost is right in front of me. This hallway feels like a tomb. All the doors are firmly shut. I press against a wall, my heart skipping a beat when I notice a faint tapping. Girl, how can we notice that? Out of all this shit that's going on, too much stimuli. Coming from behind me. I turn around and witness the outline of a door revealing itself. I waste no time, shoving my muzzle between the cracked edges. Let me in! Let me in! Get me out of here! Spooky ghost bitch and her friend are trying to get me. Fuck, man. As soon as I pry the door open, I hurl myself through and back into the darkness. I walk backwards away from the door, keeping my eyes on it. I'm so focused on the door that I bump into something cold and almost trip over it. I look up and see a dark iron staircase curling up to a high ceiling. A hatch near the top is open, letting the rain from outside drip down the cold metal. Uh-oh. I hear footsteps once again, this time much louder. I don't dare breathe or move. Oh, fucking gods. There you are. The voice startles me into moving. No way was I about to stick around and find out what fate awaits me. Girl, same. Every fiber of my being is ringing with danger as I climb the stairs with only adrenaline instructing my limbs. I drag myself up the iron steps until I'm bursting out onto the roof and back into the storm. A fog of fright muddles my mind. I see the greenhouse I had spotted earlier and sprint towards it as fast as I can. I search for a small space to crawl into, tripping over a mess of vines along the way. Thunder and lightning roar above me. A bright flash of white blinds me, and I can feel my claws scratch against the wet tiles. A door slams shut in the distance, causing a rippling effect on the walls and reaching the rooftop. When the rippling stops, everything goes quiet. The energy of the manor shifts completely. The jolt of lightning from the storm makes my first stand. It charges the air and saturates it with the smell of ozone. I shake the rain from my face. The whole world has fallen silent, except for the sound of a chilling drip. Basil. I freeze. My eyes carefully follow the coil of dead roots on the gray floor of the greenhouse. Oh no. I follow its trail all the way to the blood dripping onto the dirty tiles and the pale feet beside it. Can't we just run into a normal mansion? Why can't there just be a mansion in disrepair that's about to have a renovation? Not a fucking haunted mansion with creepy shit in paintings that pop out and go oogly boogly bitch. We just had to find the haunted one. We just had to. My eyes climb the mysterious figure. I don't think I'll ever forget the sight before me as short as I live. Lightning flashes brightly through the tall windows. Looming rose bushes creep along them. White roses speckled across its dark leaves like stars in the night sky. Oh. The bright flowers begin to bleed red before my very eyes. At the rose bush's crimson-soaked center, a small girl stands with her back towards me. Blood drips from tiny bite marks all over her hand. A red flower bulb is crushed between her delicate fingers. Oh. Instead of a strong floral scent, the smell of burning paper and wilting lilac floods my senses. A whine unwillingly crawls up my throat and cuts through the silence. Time resumes once again. The girl turns. Her gaze pierces right through me. The bulb drops from her hand. She doesn't say a word. Her attention is mine whether I want it or not. Black dots begin to appear in the corners of my vision. The last thing I see is her walking towards me. Oh, before everything fades to black. Yeah, I think that's shock. Oh, my fever is brutal throughout the night. I slip in and out of consciousness to flames beneath my skin and an ache I'd rather sleep off than face. I try to make my body go back to sleep, but rough hands force my jaw open, and I feel something shoved down my throat. The intrusion makes me violently resist, but I'm far too weak to fend the intruder away. The dark takes me into its arms once again. Oh. I awake to the tang of rusty metal and humid air. The unfamiliar sensation makes my eyes snap open. Beyond the small cage that holds me, it's dark and damp. Oh no. I clench my jaw as I examine my surroundings. Soon my eyes fixate on the ghost staring at me from outside my metal prison. Oh. It's you. I yelp and throw my body backwards, hitting the back of the cage. I expect the bite of hard metal on my back, but something smooth bends around my shape instead. It hisses at me in response. I don't think it liked that very much. My claws scrape the cold floor of the cage as I spin. The bars behind me morph into slithering vipers in defensive stances, each one baring their fangs in anger. Careful. Their venom will make the blood in your body solidify in seconds. That wouldn't be a very pleasant way to die. I look at the ghost in horror. I'm breathing so quickly that I'm convinced I'll die from lack of oxygen. Or so I think. The vipers settle back into metal bars, and I make myself small. I don't want to risk testing their patience again. The ghost is not a ghost, but a girl. Her hair like ink that's been violently knocked over and spilled onto the floor. It melts into the dark surroundings, contrasting her gray, sickly-looking skin. Her expression is blank. I see her hands tightly clutching her white gown. Do you bite? Do you? I reveal my teeth through a snarl and watch as she shows hers with a small smile. Fur along my spine stands up. She starts to move and I flinch. The girl crawls towards the cage and I curl my nails. She reaches for me, a pale hand passing between the bars without resistance. It freezes right in front of my snout. Is she checking to see if I really would bite? Has she no fear, offering her hand so fiercely in the presence of a beast? I may only be a pup, but the sheer force of my jaws can pierce right through her palm. I pull my face away from her hand and see her startled from my peripheral vision. She pulls her hand back and holds it against her collar. My eyes lock with hers as she stares at me, with her lips pressed together. I think she expected me to bite her. It'll be hard for me to protect you if you're too scaredy cat to do as I say. Did she ask me to bite her? She said, would you bite me? Or are you going to? Like, that seemed more of a question than, like, a statement or a demand. I snap back to the girl. I watch as she stands up and wipes her hands on her dress, not showing a single care for how dirty it's become. If you want to survive, you'll have to listen to my instructions. Okay, doggy. She tilts her head like she expects me to respond. Don't try to become too brave. You can only survive this place if you're smart. The others had too much fight in them. It made them foolish. My heart pounds in my chest from her words alone. She gives me another haunting smile. When your arm is better, I'll take you for a walk before he gets back. You mean he? The guy who we saw who knew our name? Is this what she sounds like when she's excited? It's unsettling. She suddenly moves close to the cage again. I jump back, just enough to not risk getting into trouble with the vipers again. The scent of burning parchment and wilting lilac returns. The girl's hair falls off her shoulders. I expected ink to trickle down and dye her dress black. My name is Dove. Oh. Horrible to meet you, Dove. Ah, roses. I spend the night nursing the dregs of my fever, and I finish. When I'd first woken up, I didn't take notice of how much it had already been soothed. But now vague memories of violating hands surface my thoughts. The girl Dove give me some kind of medicine during the height of my fever? My body still feels uncomfortably warm. I rest my head on one arm and glance at the one that had been hurt earlier. A clean bandage is firmly wrapped around it. Not enough to cut off the blood flow, but enough to restrict its movements. Was this also Dove's handiwork? A sigh softly through my nose and closed my eyes. Time passes ambiguously in the cage, with nothing to reference. I don't know if it's been mere hours or days. A bowl of water sits in the corner of the cage. I know from the dryness of my throat that I need to hydrate, but I have yet to muster up the courage to approach the bars that slither and rattle every so often. When I'm desperate enough to finally quench my thirst, the bars relievingly keep their metal forms. Feeling better now, I curl into a ball and my tail cradles my face. I want to go home. Exhaustion catches up to me once again. Oh, poor pup. I fall asleep on crusty metal and wake on dusty wood. The sound of wind chimes alerts me into consciousness. My eyes snap open, and my retinas are immediately burned by the color that floods into them. Ugh. Whew. Oh, we're outside of the cage. Cool. Is that a metal collar right there? What the hell? On the floor in front of me is a kaleidoscope of lights created by the morning sun, a stark contrast to the dark and dreary setting I was previously confined to. Maybe I dreamed it all in a feverish haze. Nope. I check the gauze on my arm. It's still there. A weight around my neck brings me back. Oh no, don't tell me that's a collar. Ah! A collar is secured around my throat. Attached to it is a long and heavy chain that leads to the leg of a large wardrobe in the corner of the room. Ow! In the bedroom. I take in my latest cage. There are no longer venomous bars to keep me, but the state of confinement has not changed. My eyes move from the rainbows on the floor to the line of the chain restraining me, and then to the rest of the room. I look at the windows and find swirling murals and expressive paintings of various creatures and monsters. The sun behind them illuminate the floor with speckles of color like a stained glass window. Past the frame of the window, the drawings continue in nonsensical scrawl. Less art decorates the walls, but shelves with cracked plant pots and hanging tangles of ivy take their place. Y'all really like plants up in this bitch. Dirty cups and bowls sit forgotten in a dark corner. Oh, yeah. I briefly note 2 shallow dishes near where I lay. They look like they would be used by a pet. Yeah, we are the pet. Judging from the surprising lack of grime from under them, it hasn't been that long since they were last used. Dusty books and crumpled parchment litter the floorboards. Taking up half of the room is a canopied bed. Dark curtains are pulled tightly together, preventing me from seeing inside. The sound of scratching captures my attention. I drag my gaze past the piles of books. They are sitting on a raggedy blanket, hunched over and scribbling over the print in a book is Dove. She gnaws on her lip and pinches her brows. I can hear her whispering something to herself. No. That won't work. I slowly lift myself off the floor, cringing at the sound of clanking chains following my movement. Dove makes no move to acknowledge my presence, so I continue approaching her. When I'm closer to her back, I'm able to get a better look at what she's furiously writing. Scribbles of occult symbols make the words on the page completely illegible. I swallow a lump in my throat. The collar around my neck feels very heavy right now. Oh. Dove suddenly tears a page from the book. The drawing sound makes me jump, and I slam into a tower of books, sending it toppling to the floor. Dread weighs heavily on me. I look back at Dove. She's now staring at me with wide eyes. Oh. Hi. You're awake. I release a small yelp and stare at her dumbfounded. Oh, she's actually kind of cute. She's brighter. Or maybe it's the luminous light filtering through the bedroom window. Something about it paints her in a rose-tinted lens that makes my weariness waver. Yeah, she's an adorable little monster, isn't she? Yeah. That feeling instantly vanishes when she gets up and rushes towards me. I run away as fast as my legs allow me, but my hair supply is abruptly cut off and I'm thrown off my feet. God, Basil. I get it. The last 24 hours haven't been kind, but come on. A sharp howl is pulled through my throat. I look behind me and see the chain of my collar is pulled taut. I reached its limits. I then see Dove standing in the spot I had bolted from. Her gaze creeps along the chain, making its way to my crumpled form. I see blue eyes stare into mine, and I shudder. It feels like she could unravel me through sight alone. She looks at me like she knows. And then she perks up, snapping the tension away. Oh, right. You're probably starving. The others were also very skittish when they had empty bellies. Her voice trails off as though she's become lost in thought. She starts weaving through the mess of book piles to reach the bedroom door. Wait here. I don't really have much of a choice. Dove returns with a bread roll and a bowl. She sets the bowl down a couple of feet in front of me and retreats back to chew on her own food. I tentatively approach it. The bread smells like heaven. I lick my lips on instinct. It must have been ages since I last ate because I watch her tear chunks from it and mark every little crumb falling into her white dress with yearning. I look down in the bowl she left me. A sight of red, fleshy chunks greet me. Raw meat. Oh. She gave me a bowl of raw meat. I can't eat this. Were the others also dogs? Wolves? Whatever the hell we are? Or are they other? Well, maybe I could. But the idea of it has nausea coursing through me. I stare at the fresh blood pooling at the bottom. Where did you get this? Ma'am, where did you get this? Then I glance over at the bread. Then back down at the bowl, feeling conflicted. Bread, bowl, bread, bowl, bread, bowl. My stomach growls. I can feel saliva start to drip down the side of my mouth. I can't do it. Are you gonna let it go to waste? Oh, jeez, fucking gods. Dove's voice comes from right above me and fear flutters in my stomach. God, I need you to back up because I can see every charcoal marking on your face. Okay then. My eyes snap up. Dove reaches for me and I flinch, scattering away. She kneels in front of the bowl, dips her hand into it, crushing a fistful of squishy red meat between her fingers. She brings the raw meat to her mouth. I think we need a little less freak out and a little more calmness into accepting the situation. Oh no, bile rises in my throat as I watch her chew through the raw flesh and swallow it with a sickly gulp. She covers her mouth, the back of her hand, and gag. Yeah, we don't. Girl, that was a bad choice. Then looks at me. She smiles at me, her teeth stained, and why are you doing this to yourself? What a horrible taste. Why are you doing this to yourself? A thin stream of blood falls from the corner of her mouth. I suppose you'd like something a little more appetizing. Bread. She gags again, then runs out of the room. I hear the sound of her retching. Yeah, there it is. You good? You good? You feel better? This is a horrible experience for all of us. Why are we doing this to each other? Dove returns with a new bowl of what looks like stew. Much better. I inspect it thoroughly, checking for insects or anything inedible. When I surmise there is nothing of the sort, I dig in greedily. My eyes begin to sting after the first few bites. The stew is so bland. Oh, no. You know what? Take what you can get. It makes me yearn for my grandmother's cooking is so bad. In the corner of my eyes, I can see Dove watching me like a hawk. Like a single blink is enough to make me vanish. If only I could. As I finish eating the stew, a soft thudding captures my attention. I look back to see my tail wagging against the floor. I feel myself shrink with embarrassment. I immediately cease its movement, but not before Dove takes notice. Looks like your energy has returned. Her eyes move to my arm. Does it still hurt? I stare at Dove, then hesitantly put my weight on my wrapped up arm. The sharp pain is mostly gone, but a dull ache still remains. If the opportunity for me to run away came, I could probably do it, but not without difficulty. I make a frustrated whine. Dove tilts her head at me, considering my reply. She approaches me again, slowly this time. Alright, don't freak out. I hold my breath as she comes closer, her hands hovering near the collar around my neck. I'm suddenly hyper-aware of how quiet it is. There's no drum of rain or crack of thunder to be heard from outside. Hope dares to grow inside my racing heart. Will you hurt me if I take it off? Are you asking me to hurt you, or are you, questioning if I will? You make this very clear, tiny child, ghostly child. Answer. I shake my head slightly. Dove gives me a curious look. Her hands hover for a short moment, then she nods. Oh. The weight of the collar lifts off my shoulders. Then I bolt. Oh! My swift escape shoves Dove aside. I had a feeling Basil was gonna do that, but you know. I barely see her get thrown to the floor as I make for the open bedroom door. She makes a panic noise behind me. Oh no, I don't know whether to like you or not. It fades out in my rush to leave her behind. Then I'm back in the hallway where the horrors began. Oh shit. I need to get back to the kitchen. I sprint to the stairs. Then suddenly I'm skidding to a stop when a wall meets me at the end of the hallway and said, what? Instead of a staircase. I stare in confusion. Did I go the wrong way? I look around the hall. Oh no, the mansion shifts, doesn't it? I don't remember seeing this many doors. A sinking feeling unravels in my gut. I run down a new hallway. Then turn into another. Then another. My exploration of the matter was cut short when I had first arrived, so maybe I can't remember everything well. No, this place is moving. But I swear, these are not the same halls I walked through before. After I turn into hallway number 15 in this new labyrinth, the sound of something being dragged cuts through my throat. No, we should not have left the room. I look behind me, fear pulsing in my veins. Oh, no. A ghostly figure slowly walks down the cross-section of another hall. Hello, you look like something straight out of Bloodborne. How are you? My name is Basil. Long hair protrudes from its head, running down to the floor, stiff stiffly like straw and hiding most of its long, thin limbs. I watch it disappear around the corner, completely frozen in my spot. Another ghost. I've never seen one this corrupted before. I now feel extremely vulnerable, like a beacon standing in the long and open corridor, and this is why we don't stand in long and open corridors. We have our back to a wall, watching both ways. A tapping noise is next. My heart pounds violently in my chest as I search for the sound. I immediately see another ghost heading straight for me. Jenna is it this time. I yelp and crush myself against the wall as if it'll make me invisible. Oh no! That one is from Bloodborne. Get the fuck back! Get back! Get back, demon! This ghost staggers towards me with bony knees knocking together. Man, they had fun putting these things together, didn't they? They were like, alright, Jim, tell us what you saw. A thin veil curtains its upper body, and something that resembles a bird's beak peeks out at its chest. The closer it gets, the better I'm able to make out the detail of its leathery skin and the beady, bloodshot eyes that dapple across its face above the rotting beak. Why are you here? Needle-thin arms bend sharply at the elbow and reach back behind the ghost's head. It balances on its elbows and pulls itself forward on them. Oh, dear gods, no. I make myself paper thin and shiver when part of its elbow brushes against one of my paws. I start breathing again when it passes quietly, then back away into an intersection of hallways. Another ghost home. Is this just... Okay, are we accepted in here? Oh, gods. Okay. I guess we're fine. Nobody is trying to kill us, like last time. Two ghosts follow one another down the dark path of the bird-like ghost. One is a cluster of what looks like fungi, hello, and twisting fabric that melts into bumpy flesh. A stringy network of mycocillin trails behind it. The other creates a sound of glass crunching together with every steady step it takes. Its arms stick out like pieces of wood that lightly swing as it walks, and where its face should be is void, framed by jagged, broken pieces of porcelain skin. I can still make out the raggedy maid uniform that clings to it. Oh, are these... Okay, I mean, I kind of figured they would be residents, but working residents? I follow the ghosts in a trance. Like a line of school children, they walk along a well-known path. Normally, when a ghost is corrupted from being trapped in the land of the living, every semblance of their humanity is lost. So where do these ghosts stalk to with so much purpose? They navigate the hallways without hesitation, twisting and turning through a route already well known. Seems like we know quite a bit about this. Maybe like a hunter of some sort, or researcher? Then, so painfully easy, I have been led back to the kitchen. Oh, that sucks. I see Dove standing on the kitchen table, delicately twisting an incandescent bulb into the hanging light fixture. Dried black tears stain her cheeks, but her expression betrays no sign of dejection. Another bulb is held loosely in her other hand. This one has been burnt out so badly that no light can penetrate its ashy, blackened surface. It took 40 years to develop this type of filament. The ghosts surround her. I watch them reach for her, and I open my jaws to bark out a warning, but I choke on my rising panic. Dove doesn't notice him and continues to screw in the bulb. I read that these bulbs can stay lit for up to 1,200 hours. Claws brush against her skirt. And yet, after less than a week, their legacy of lighting the dark has been snuffed out forever. With one last turn of her wrist, light envelops the room. Something so wonderful. Dove stares into the bulb's light, and her fingers caress the glass. Only breaks in a place like this. The ghosts have vanished. Dove gives no hint of awareness for the presence that just left them. I have questions, because she seems to be very... I'm figuring that she's aware of them, of their existence. Maybe she can see them, or maybe she just feels them to a certain extent. My blood thuds in my ears. Could she not see them? I think she did, dude. I look at the door that I had used to enter the mansion. I hear Dove dust off her hands and toss the old bulb into a box where it shatters amongst other pieces of glass. She sighs wearily. How long will this cycle continue for? I barely hear her words. Instead, I stare at the wall where the back door should be. Is she stuck here like us, too? And there is no door. I immediately freak out. I run to the wall, ignoring the ache in my arm, and scratch at old wallpaper, hoping the door was only hidden behind it. My claws tear through the wood, but as I continue scratching, the outline of a door does not reveal itself. Oh god. I back away, staring at the shredded decoration and breathing rapidly. It's not there anymore. I turn my head up and see Dove sitting on the kitchen table, swinging her legs. She stares at the wall I had torn up and gives me a blank expression. I explode. My body ignites with fiery rage as I growl and snarl at her. Oh, she frowns and her eyes turn downcast with guilt. Maybe she's stuck here just like us and just trying to seek companionship. I mean, I don't know how to get it back. Bark at her, attack her. No, I don't like either of these options. Force her to help. How would we do that? Force her to help. I look past Dove and see the window. I perk up. The window! We can break it! I pause and take note of how far the window is from the floor. Well, maybe not me. Dove sits on the table looking bored. I take a deep breath. Dove jumps and her eyes swivel down to me. What? I point my nose at the window and it takes Dove a second to understand my gesture. She blinks and turns her head towards the window, her lips brown in confusion. The window? She looks down at me with furrowed brows. What about it? My tail wags behind me. I ignore it and look around for something that'll help her understand what I want. I spot a stool underneath the table and my ears stand up straight. Dove leans over and watches me drag the stool out with my teeth. I throw my body weight back to pull it out until it falls over. Then I look at Dove and point my snout at the window again. She hops off the table and picks up the stool. She holds it up, still wearing a befuddled expression. You want me to... She raises a brow at me. Put it by the window? I huff. Throw it at the window. I nod and wag my tail quickly. Dove looks at the window hesitantly. She stares at her reflection in the glass. I've never tried breaking the windows before. Dove stumbles slightly when I grab the bottom of her dress and lead her to it. When I feel her slightly resist, I look up and Dove's face appears paler than I thought was possible. I see her swallow before she starts moving on her own. She climbs onto the counter with the stool in her hands. It slips slightly in her grip and she wipes her hand on her dress. Ooh, she's getting nervous. She raises the stool and my heart starts to quicken. The stool comes down, then stops. I whine in confusion. Dove stares into the window with wide eyes. Uh-oh. Is he there? I fall over her line of sight and see it. A pale hand grips Dove's arm. I look past it and let out a sharp cry. Oh, no. That's not good. That is very much not good. Dove's reflection stares back with blackened eyes and a wide, distorted smile that leaks dark bile. I see Dove's hand tremble, then the reflection speaks. Bad girl, you should know better by now. The familiar feeling of cold spreads through my veins. I hear Dove's breath hitch. Then I hear something else. Oh no, we're fucked, aren't we? Tiny wooden footsteps fill the silence. I stay completely still and slowly slide my pupils to see small flutters of movement from the shadows in my peripherals. I hold my breath. They start to go louder. I hear Dove hiccup and my eyes slide back to her in panic. The reflection crushes Dove's wrist. Black webs spread from where they touch. Oh no, did I do it bad? Its beady eyes crinkle and its grin stretches wider. Then it pulls Dove in closer until their foreheads almost touch. Behave, Dove. The reflection barks out a howling laugh, then shoves Dove away from the window. Well, shit. Dove shrieks and flails her arms. I yelp and throw myself under her to soften her fall. Oh. She caresses me with her weight, and we fall into a messy heap on the floor. My vision swirls and my body rages in agony. The sound of the reflection's laughter fades away, and wooden feet start to retreat to my relief. When we recover again, Dove stands on shaky legs, and I can see her trying to control the haunted expression she wears. She holds her wrist with a tight grip. Black veins now fade from where the reflection had touched her. I let out a soft woo. She got hurt because of me. She stumbles to the table and plants herself back on top of it. I whimper and go back to scratch at the door in desperation. I'm sorry. Enough. I'm tired of seeing you wallow in your despair. I reply with an indignant huff. I see Dove puff her cheeks in annoyance. Aw, you're cute. I turned my head away and rested on my paws. There's no way out. It's better for you to just accept it. I growl. A growl rumbles in my throat. Even the front door is gone, so instead of wasting time, you may as well follow me and keep yourself occupied. I wish I could cry. My ears lay flat against my skull. I've landed myself right in the mouth of a carnivorous flower with the sweetness of shelter to lure me in. I should have noticed the sharp teeth at the entrance. Peek at Dove. She's like a caged bird in this house. Doesn't she hate it? Obviously she does. How can anyone possibly live like this? Her patience reaches its end and she slides off the kitchen table. I cry out when she hauls me off the ground and I bare my fangs at her when her face appears right before mine. My glare doesn't faze her. Follow, wolf. There is much to do. We return to the labyrinth of hallways. Dove seems to know her way around them well. Now that I'm not frantically running around them, I notice a huge difference in the manor's atmosphere. Less dirt coats the floor, ceiling lights illuminate the hallways, and it almost feels peaceful. Dove stops by a closet in the hallway. She grabs onto the handles of the doors, and it opens up to reveal shelves and cupboards of miscellaneous tools and supplies. She climbs a stool to reach the highest shelf and retrieves a box with small buckets and brushes. I tense up at the sight of the stool, beginning to sway back and forth. She climbs back down without issue before leading me into a room I recognize very quickly. She makes her way to the broken side table I'd spotted when I was first exploring the rooms of the mansion, and I take the time to look around. A dining table with only 3 chairs 3 chairs? Oh. Most of the room. Candles spike up from the table like stalagmites. There's so many of them that I think they would render a fire hazard if they were all to be lit. Hardened wax drips over the edge. I can see the end of a fountain pen, as well as scraps of paper. I'm unable to see a well of ink from my position, but I assume that's what runs down the dusty tablecloth in dark splotches. A glint catches my attention. On the other side of the room, I'm unsettled by the mirrors that cover the wall from floor to ceiling. Yeah, that's a little creepy. I swallow a lump that forms in my throat and do not let my eyes linger on them. Yeah, that's... Ooh, no. I lay on the floor and watch her slather strongly scented glue on the broken leg of the table. She roughly connects the broken leg to the rest of the table and fans it with her hands so it dries faster. Same. Anytime I break my glasses or they wear down, I just, you get the Gorilla Glue and then you just put it back together and then you're like desperately like, try, damn you, try. She tests its sturdiness with a light finger, then scrunches her nose when it wobbles. She twists around and digs in her box, then pulls out a roll of twine with a bright expression on her face. My brows furrow together. Dove twirls the strings around the leg and binds it tightly. When she's done, she sets the table straight again. It still rocks unsteadily, but it stays standing. That seems to be good enough for Dove, because she picks up her box again and gives it a good nod. I leap from my spot on the floor and spin to a loud noise. In the corner of the room, the long-haired ghost from earlier stands bent over a broken vase. You better clean that up, mister. You better clean it up. How dare you? I flinch when Dove lets out a startled noise and starts to stride towards it. Wait, should we let her go towards them? I bark in alarm. It's dangerous. She ignores me. Oh, okay, never mind. Siri! I grab the back of her gown with my teeth to stop her. Dove's demeanor goes from anger to taken aback. She stops and looks down at me. I shock myself with my own actions and quickly drop her skirt. Dove considers me for a moment and switches her attention back to the ghost and marches over to him. You klutz. Okay, she knows them. Either they try to kill her and she's just gotten to the point of being so nonchalant and unfazed by their unsuccessful attempts that she started naming them, or they actually are trying to keep an eye on her and she just unfazed. Yeah, take your bets, people. My jaw drops. I don't need another person to clean up after. The ghost laces its long fingers together and bows its head. Oh no! When Dove gets closer to it, she stumbles and cries out. The ghost snaps its head back up to her. Dove checks the bottom of her foot and sees a shard embedded in the flesh. Red blooms from the small wound. The ghost makes a groaning sound and steps towards Dove. She hisses when it walks through the mess of glass and drags it with them. Get a dustpan! It's concerned for her. Get a dustpan and a broom! Gah! Get the boots! Okay. I observe their interaction, feeling befuddled. Everything I know about corrupted ghosts is being challenged. Everything I know is a lie. Oh! I pause to think about how the ghosts rushed to her side earlier. Oh, were they trying to help her put the bulb in? Okay, yeah, so maybe the second theory is correct. Now that makes me wonder if the guy we saw earlier, because there's 3 chairs, right? Is that her dad? The ghost tugs on Dove's sleeve like it's asking for forgiveness. She continues to badger it while digging the shard out of her foot. I study them curiously. It wasn't because they want to cause her harm. I trail behind Dove when she leaves to treat the small cut, and when she returns to clean up the mess. We leave the ghost, and Dove continues down whatever to-do list she has in mind. While she paints over the scratches on the kitchen door, trying to match the old wallpaper, she speaks to me. Have you met all of them already? Okay, what about the freaky chain person that we haven't seen yet, only heard, and the bride? The rot bride. I'm gonna call her the rot bride. She doesn't speak again until we run into another ghost. Is it Micah Sillin? It awaits in the hallway for Dove. She perks up when she sees what it's holding. Oh, thank you, Babel. Aw, Babel. She takes a small bundle of red roses. I told you. What did I say earlier? I told you about them roses. I follow her to a window and see a tall, thin glass vase with withered roses, and it's sitting on the sill. Dove takes out the dead flowers, replaces them, and then she pauses and looks down at something below. Her face reveals nothing as she tears her gaze away and makes her way down the hall again. Before following her, I stand on my haunches and try to peer out the window. Oh no. A chill comes down on me when I look down and see a small patch of graves, each marked by a small wooden cross. I break away from the unnerving sight and turn towards the hall where Dove had gone. She stands at the end of the hall waiting for me. The bird-like ghost's name is Grell, and the doll is Odetta. Oh, how nice. Dove introduces them officially when we run into them, as we go around the manor doing mundane tasks. It's a sight I can't get used to. I can't understand how a young girl can act so normal around such monstrous beings. Seeing their translucent, leathery skin or the fluids that drip from their decaying flesh is enough to send me reeling, but she does not flinch or fear. Earlier, when they had surrounded her in the kitchen, she could tell they were there, weaving their arms together to wrap her in a ghostly embrace. Oh, she didn't care in the slightest. I start to think she's more disturbing than the ghost. You think? There's something going on here, and it's not normal. To become this corrupted, they would have had to stay trapped in this plane for a long time. Why are they still here? They're bound here. Their horrific forms border on pitiful. To be this far gone has to be some type of hell. Dove walks along them, amongst them like they're her family, though. I wonder if they were? No, that's not quite it. I rearranged my thoughts. Maybe. The image of the graves flash in my mind. It's because she is theirs. I watch her guide Grell's gangly limbs out of the hallway so they can pass through like they're nothing but an annoying sibling. A monster just like them. Huh. Maybe this cage she lives in is one of her own making. I don't think so. Dove does these errands like a routine, putting books away in the library, cleaning up candles burned to the end of their wicks. By the time she finishes winding up a large grandfather clock in the hallway, the manor feels like a completely different place. The air is less stifled by dust particles. The rooms are brighter, and it feels like a home now. As we walk back to Dove's room, the sun begins its descent into the blazing orange horizon, and the evening cicadas make their shrill voices heard. Despite the manor feeling more livable, there is a feeling it gives me that I cannot shake. A void that looms like a presence. It's like letters left unfinished, or tea half empty and turning cold. There's a sense of stagnation that places this manor outside of time's reach and leaves a noise that buzzes persistently in the air. Dove stops abruptly, and I almost trip over my paws trying not to run into her. I take a peek from behind her and immediately let out a yelp. Oh. You. The very first ghost I had met stands at the end of the hallway. Dove doesn't move. I see the ghost stagger down the hall towards us, and I instinctively back away. Oh. Then Dove speaks. It's okay. Her tone is not very convincing. The ghost gets closer, and I can see the details of her leaking entrails. Oh. I make a whimpering sound and hide behind Dove, keeping myself close to the wall. She's harmless. She doesn't do anything. Why does it sound like you're trying to convince yourself that she doesn't? I throw a quick glance at Dove when her voice falters. But watch. The ghost is right behind us. Its hollow eyes look down at Dove, and she holds its unseeing gaze with cold eyes. I don't breathe. But the acrid smell of rot overwhelms my heightened sense of smell. The tension between Dove and the ghost creates a pressure that thins the air, making my lungs ache for oxygen. Pain seizes my chest just when I can no longer hold my breath in. The ghost continues down the hall passively. I exhale loudly. Oh, well, that was lovely. Got a name for that one, too? I'm just gonna call her the Rot Bride. Hope you don't mind. I startle when Dove clenches her fist beside me. Her eyes follow the ghost for a couple seconds longer. Then she cuts off her stare and moves on. I quickly chase after her, not wanting to be alone with this particular ghost again. Ever again, if my luck allows it. I look back for a split second, and the ghost has disappeared. I'm gonna guess that's your mum. Dove's shoulders are squared as we return to her room. Since the sun is set in the opposite direction of her window, the scattering of colors from this morning are long gone. Her relationship with the hallway ghost is much different from the others. The way she spoke about her seems almost resentful. I pad to a corner, stalling for a moment when I see the collar from earlier on the floor. I narrow my eyes at it and pick it up with my teeth, then throw it at a far wall. I give the collar one last glare, then curl up on the floor. Dove settles, cross-legged in the middle of her book. Towers and reaches for a random text. I let out a big yawn, feeling heavy after the events of the day. I don't know if there's enough time in the world to process everything that's happened to me since I left home. I close my eyes and feel the tendrils of sleep curl around me. Do you think people can come back from the dead? She asked it so quietly I almost didn't hear her. I don't think she expects an answer. And I cannot give her one. All right. Well. Oh. Well, we're going to save here.
And that's going to be it for right now. That was curious. I'm liking this game so far. I love the art style. I've already established that. I'm glad that this isn't going to be one of those games where it's kind of random chance of, oh, you turn down this corner, you die. It's actually turning into a bit more of just to follow along and just kind of sit back, relax, and read. I'm enjoying it. I love the relationship between Dove and the ghosts now. I find that to be fascinating. We'll play some more of this. Otherwise, if you guys enjoyed the show, like and subscribe. I do stream on Twitch, typically just about every day. I stream here as well. I dual stream on Twitch and YouTube. I don't know why I'm stuttering. But yeah, I will catch you guys tomorrow. Bye!